Alright, y'all, so I'm kicking it with Shahtaj today. We're just talking about narcissistic people. Sorry if I'm like out of focus, I'm like trying to bob in and out. But yeah, I feel like this is kind of like an ongoing conversation like we've kind of had on and off, just because I feel like, I don't know what it is, but I feel like at this point in my life, not that I'm noticing that there's more narcissistic people, or maybe there are more, but I feel like I'm just actually noticing for the first time ever who they are and how they affected me kind of like growing up, how they affected me in the workplace, how they affected me everywhere else. So I just wanted her to kind of like jump on here and talk to you guys a little bit about it. Like the characteristics of a narcissistic person, how it shows up, because I don't want y'all to come for me. For those of you that saw my Mondays with Friends where we were talking about how to ghost men, so skip over that. For this particular video, we're going to talk about both sides, men and women, but I kind of wanted her to kind of chat a little bit about that, how to notice that if maybe you're in a relationship with a narcissistic person. I don't know, if it's affecting you in any sort of way, she's kind of going to describe that a little bit and give us some details. So this is Shahtaj, y'all.
Hi, everyone.
She's a candidate for the MFT.
Yes.
For the MFT program, for those of y'all that are in psychology. What's up? So I figured I'd ask her because she would know like the clinical definition of what that looks like, what to look for, signs, and all that. So.
Well, narcissistic personality disorder is defined by excessive self-importance, an exaggerated need for admiration, and self-centered behavior, actions, and thoughts. So I would say that would be the clinical definition for narcissistic personality disorder.
Does that sound familiar to any of y'all? She was just saying how it kind of sounds like most of LA.
It really does. There's a reason why we millennials and below that are called the me generation. So I feel like that really contributes to the rise in the rates for narcissistic personality disorder.
So tell me like what that would look like in a relationship, like dating or friendship wise or work related or whatever. Like, can you give me some examples of what it looked like to maybe for a male narcissist versus like a female narcissist in those kind of relationships?
Well, let's say you're on a date. Let's say you're going out with a friend, a date, whatever it is, and the conversation is just very one-sided. It's all about them. There's no interest in what you're doing. There's no interest in where you're taking your life. All your emotional needs as a person are often ignored and not acknowledged. And you often feel very drained being around this person. You feel like you have to constantly put them up or worship them in a sense. With men and women, I would say that's the case.
Keep adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah. But I would say with narcissistic men, they use manipulation and power dynamics more overtly than women do. And for women, it's more of like they use their sexual powers to dominate their environment.
So kind of like a Jezebel type situation?
Yeah, I would say that. Statistically, though, there's more narcissistic men than narcissistic women. And that could be because our society puts a lot of importance on men.
Because I was about to ask, I'm like, why do you think that is? Yeah, just because our society, even though we are like making strides like as women, of people of color, all that kind of stuff, our society still mostly caters to kind of like straight men.
Yes.
So it's still kind of like patriarchal in a sense, so maybe that's why, but
it's just in a different form, guys. All because we don't have a head of a household kind of mentality anymore does not mean men are not given the bias in a workspace or in a classroom or just in everyday interactions. Notice that.
Right.
And as going back to narcissism, though, again, like, to a regular average person who doesn't have any clinical knowledge or any sort of like understanding of this, a narcissistic person is going to come off as really cocky, really obnoxious, really attention, like an attention whore, very, they need to be the center stage. They need to be the dominant person in that group. They need to be the dominant person in that space.
And if they're not, they're frustrated or pissed off.
And it's a threat. And I find that people with narcissistic personality disorder, they try to annihilate those threats. I wouldn't say they're violent. I would say it's more power playing games. They'll do anything they can to just get rid of the person who's taking attention away from them, or talk smack about people, talk smack about their own family, your family. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they consider you a best friend. It doesn't matter if they consider you their boss. you are essentially an unneeded, unnecessary aspect of their lives, and you exist to serve a purpose to them.
So anything to kind of taint the reputation of anybody that might be a threat to them.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And okay, so this is one thing that I wanted to know, because I've noticed for me, like, it was constantly like narcissistic women showing up in my life, like, time after time after time, and constantly feeling like, why does this chick always come for me, or why does it feel like she's trying to destroy me? And even on the flip side, I've been in a few relationships dealing with narcissistic people. So why do you think that is? Like, is there a certain personality type that you feel like narcissists naturally go for?
I know you'd be very kind and well-liked. And I feel like those two aspects in themselves can deem you as a threat. So for we're talking about female narcissists at this point. So you are a well-liked, attractive, and competent person. So it's like a lot of people respect you. A lot of people want your attention. A lot of people want to speak to you. And that in itself is a no-go. That in itself is a no-go.
So if you're a friendly person, if you're just like
a
nice girl next door chilling, she's going to come for you. She's going to come for you.
Anyway, like, if you are well-liked in that group, well-liked in that workspace, it's just not going to go over well for you at all.
Now, in dating relationships, because I know this is going to be a big kicker for some of y'all women out there that are not sure if the person that you're with is a narcissist, and you're kind of like, I think I'm seeing the warning signs. Like, what is the type of girl that you've noticed that narcissistic men naturally go for?
From my own personal experiences and from what I've learned, narcissistic men tend to prefer women who have, like, an education, have some sort of status, they're beautiful, they're well-liked and well-regarded, but they're passive to this man. So they're passive, so they want an attractive woman, they want an educated woman, they want a woman that's going to make them look good. So they're going to obviously go for those women, but not a woman that's going to threaten them.
Okay. So this is for you girls out there who maybe have been independent for a while, have a degree and everything like that, but maybe you were raised in an environment, and this isn't bad, but like, for instance, for me, being raised in an environment where it's like, you know, the male is the head of the household, and for the woman, you don't make yourself less than, but you kind of submit to him a little bit. I feel like they kind of like look out for those kind of women. Like,
it's very predatory.
Yeah.
It's very predatory, I would argue.
If they see that you might be slightly docile, or that you might cater to your man, even though you have a career, shy, maybe introverted or whatever. So
they could see that as someone they could easily, like, have control over.
Right.
So a woman that's like, if, like, your boyfriend or your partner goes like, oh, your outfit is ugly, and you're the type to, like, be really self-conscious about that, or, like, take it very personally, they got you.
Right.
That's the type of person they want. They want someone who's gonna, like, bend over backwards for them.
Right, who's going to cater to them.
Yeah. That's why, guys.
But still has all her stuff together. That way he can kind of pull from her resources, too.
Yeah, and I can give an example from one of my best friends. She was dating someone who had no job. Essentially, he was jobless for a few months. He was not paying his own bills. She was helping him with all his bills. She took out a car for him, all that. But this person would constantly put her down, constantly chisel at her, and he isolated her from her friend group, from me. And so essentially she was on his beck and call. But she was educated, she has a job, a good job, good providing job, and her own car. She was a very, like, independent woman, but she had a more docile, quiet personality.
Kind of nature about her.
She was a kind person. And a very attractive person. And then, so guys, it could be anyone. It could be anyone, really.
It's interesting because, like, as you're describing it, I kind of get that scene from, like, Diary of a Mad Black Woman, where it's like,
oh, I love that movie.
Oh, so good. So good for those of y'all that haven't seen it. But it kind of reminds me a little bit of her relationship with her husband, how it's kind of like he essentially used her up.
Dry.
Exactly.
He sucked her dry.
And then she kept just giving away a little bit of herself. You know, at first she kind of had ambitions, but then he had his career, and he was like, no, I want you to do this, this, this. So she was like, okay, no problem. I'll stay home. You know, I'll take care of the household and the family. Then he didn't want kids. He said he didn't want kids. And really kind of like robbed her of having that. And, you know, at the end of it, she was kind of like this broken down homemaker while he was like living this whole other life with this other woman.
Tossed her aside.
Right.
He tossed
literally
her aside.
throughout the house.
Yeah.
Literally.
And I guess we can use that as an example where it's like they'll just take and take and take and take. Man or woman will just take and take and take and take and take and take from you. Have no regard. They just have no regard for how you feel, how you think, what you want for yourself. It doesn't matter. That's a huge indicator. So it's like those relationships and friendships that are so draining, you might have a narcissist on your hands.
Oh.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling drained, kind of do the check. Are they taking you away from other friends and family, kind of hoarding you to themselves, and then kind of like chipping away with you? What's the term that you used when you say that guys kind of like put you down a little bit and chip away at you?
Negging, guys.
Okay, that's
negging.
the term. I was like, something with the N. Yeah.
So negging is like a pickup artist kind of thing where they find a girl they're attracted to, and they interact with her in a very demeaning way. So it's like, she'll be eating, and he'll be like, oh, you're eating a little too much, aren't you? And they'll say it in a very joking manner, jovial manner, to make it seem like it's not coming from a nasty place. But they'll do that little by little to like chip away at the self-esteem of the woman until she settles for him. Negging, guys. Negging.
Interesting.
Yeah. Think back to your relationships, and if anyone has ever done that to you, they're trying to lower you to their level.
Because, I mean, I feel like for women, like, I know for me, like, I was naturally more kind of, like, timid and kind of quiet kind of growing up, introverted. And so I felt like I ended up a lot of times in these sort of relationships because I initially thought, like, oh, well, maybe, I mean, it's just a critique. Maybe I do need to pay attention to this a little bit more. Oh, wow, he made a comment about my hair. Maybe I should pay attention to that more. And I feel like girls like us kind of do that out of consideration. Like, oh, well, he's my boyfriend, or, oh, he's, my whatever, the guy I'm dating.
That's why they seek you guys out.
Exactly.
That's why they seek
because
you
we're the
guys
ones who want that feedback from our mate, from the person that we're with, and they go, ooh, that's great, because then I can get her to do exactly what I want to do. And before you know it, more and more, you just keep making these compromises.
And you lose yourself. You lose yourself. So narcissistic personality disorder aside, guys, like these are all signs of an abusive relationship or abusive friendship too. People who take from you, put you down. And it seems like so intuitive. Like, oh, why would I want to be friends with someone who treats me so terribly? But the thing is, it doesn't happen all at once.
No, and the thing is, a lot of them start off nice and might even compliment you at first, and then the next thing, it's like that thing switches, and they just kind of like chip little by little by little.
And then you'll find yourself feeling trapped in a friendship or a relationship.
Yep. Friendships too.
Because people who really care about you, love you, respect you, are not gonna like put you, like, are not gonna crumple you up and like toss you, or are not gonna make you feel like a less than deserving person.
On a regular basis, because sometimes when you're with your friends, y'all can get petty sometimes, but this is like an ongoing thing. Like, no matter what I do for this person, no matter how nice or caring I am, it just seems like I'm never enough, and that's how they want to make you feel.
And I feel like we as human beings have a tendency to fall into patterns without realizing it. So you have a really good friend or a really good boyfriend or girlfriend, and they treat you really well, and then slowly, because again, the pattern is very insidious, it doesn't just happen.
Right.
Most of the time it doesn't just happen, it's very slow, and like over a long period of time, and then slowly you'll start to feel like, why do I feel so awful all the time?
Why do I feel like crap? Why do I feel like I look like crap?
And you'll start making excuses for this person, thinking that it's you, because they've trained you to think it's you. They train you to think it's you, and because humans are so susceptible to falling into patterns, we just continue on until something goes horribly wrong, or until someone slaps us with reality.
Right. It says, this is what's been happening. He's been treating you like dirt this whole time, or she's been treating you like dirt this whole time, or even in friendships. Don't you notice that she's always taking things from you, that she's always putting you down in front of guys, in front of other people?
Guys, if your friends don't like your partner, if your other friends don't like your friend, that's a sign in a way. I would argue that's a sign.
Oh, definitely something taken into consideration, like, I wonder why it is. maybe I'm not listening. Maybe there's something that they've brought up to my attention that I just keep kind of putting in the back of my mind because I don't want to face the reality of it.
So, the people who care and love you will see this most of the time before you see it.
Yes, they'll be like, oh, I don't know about that person.
Like, I wasn't even surprised when I found out that my friend was going through the situation after hearing the little details of what he was doing.
You already knew where it was going. You were like, this is about to go south real quick.
Yeah. And that's not even because I am in the program I'm in. That's just like, wait, it seems like he's taking a lot more from you than he's giving back.
It's not, there's no reciprocity in this, there we go, in this relationship, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to bring Shahtaj on here to talk to you guys about this, because I feel like
it's just ongoing.
Yes.
It's an ongoing thing.
And I feel like it's more of a conversation, because me and her have talked about this before, but in the 90s, I feel like narcissism was just kind of seen as like, oh, well, you're the popular cheerleader or you're the football player.
A compliment.
Right. Yeah, like, oh, you're good looking and people like you and you're really into yourself and your appearance, and, you know, it was kind of seen as like that, whereas now we're looking at it from a clinical perspective and really seeing that, like, no, like, these people are really out to come for you, like, really, really out to get you, and mentally there's something going on with them. So this is an actual condition, not just you being really into yourself. So I really wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that difference with her and bring her on here to kind of give you guys an in-depth example of those in men and women, just because...
Well, the 6 to 7% of the U.S. population that has narcissistic personality disorder.
6 to 7%.
That's a lot, guys. That's a lot.
That's a good chunk. That's a good chunk.
That's a lot. So most of you probably have interacted with or have been involved with someone with narcissistic personality disorder.
At some point. And for us people that are more, maybe you were shy growing up, or maybe you were timid and kind of on that end of the spectrum, more introverted, kind of like me, I feel like we're like magnets for those people. So you might have even had multiple experiences with those kind of people just because they're kind of seeking you out.
And you feel bad for them.
Yeah. And you lend an ear and you're trying to be a good friend and they go, great, I found a sucker. Like, come. But thank you guys for watching. I wanted to bring her on here. Thank you. This is another Mondays with Friends. I hope you guys come back for VEDA Day. I'm not sure what it'll be, but I'll link the playlist above for you guys to check out. So like this video if you want to see more. I'll be posting more as usual. Make sure to do well and be well, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.
Bye.